right, so we are starting an IV for IV major autoheme and thought you guys might be interested in seeing the process. So we are going to get started. We have a vein finder here, so you can see the veins under the light.
Look at that. Bam. Boom.
Beautiful.
Dun, dun, dun.
So the nice thing is once the catheter is in, it's usually really comfortable. People can move around. So she's just taping that tubing down so it doesn't put any pressure on where the catheter is in. And then the patient can do work or be on their phone or whatever. We just flushed with some saline just to make sure we have a nice clean line. And then we do a little flush with heparin just to make sure, since this is going to be a longer procedure involving a lot of blood. And I also have a clotting issue. And side note, heparin is an excellent allergy treatment. I learned this from some of the older allergists.
Okay, so we have started the saline drip. She will receive about 400 mils of saline prior to her IV, which helps a lot with tolerance to the IV as well.
All right, so we just put a bunch of saline in me, and now
we are going to add heparin, half of our heparin dose. The first half of the heparin dose was flushed into her veins when we inserted the IV. The second half is going to go into the IV bag. So that when the blood runs in, we make sure that the blood doesn't clot inside the IV bag. When blood is outside of our body, it's not moving and it is not at body temperature. It likes to clot extra. Okay, so our next step is that we have now placed the heparinized saline below the patient's arm level so that blood will flow into the bag. So we will open up this clamp. And now the blood is running out of the vein. It'll go through that cuvette that we'll talk about later and into this IV bag. We're going to fill about 200 milliliters of blood into the IV bag. And scene. Okay, so this is our ozone generator. So this hooks up to an oxygen tank. On the top, you'll see that it has different concentrations. So we do our IV ozone at 70 gamma. So I'm going to clean off this port. And while that dries completely, I'm going to turn on my oxygen. I already have my tubes ready. And this pumps out ozone into the syringe, which fills pretty quickly. Okay, so we will fill 200 mils. So each of these syringes, we'll fill them to 50 mils, and that will go into our IV. For the next step, we're going to actually be instilling the ozone gas into the blood. We do that by taking our syringes and inserting the gas into the bag. So for this process, we gently mix the blood with the ozone gas. As the ozone makes contact with the lipid layer of the cells, it is going to dissociate from O3 into O2, and the blood will become hyperoxygenated. That process is oxidative momentarily, but that triggers the body's own antioxidant pathways, and that triggers all of our immune boosting properties.
And it also helps to decrease inflammation. This is one of my favorite treatments for autoimmunity, which is why I'm doing it on myself. One thing you'll notice is the blood will go from being really dark to when the ozone is added to it, it makes these ozonides, and you'll see it will turn into a beautiful, vibrant red. And that is what makes you feel so good.
And we can compare the bright red in the bag, which has been ozonated, to the color of the blood that has not been ozonated, which is pretty significantly different. The ozonated blood is going to go back into the patient. We're running this particular IV through the UV light, which is directly antimicrobial.
Really great for viral infections especially. So it'll go through there, get into me. We just wait until it's done. The whole procedure, even when we were doing training and taking our time, probably only took 50 minutes or so. And a lot of times, when it's just my nurse doing this, we can get this done in a half hour.
So here I am just finishing up my ozone IV, also called IV major autoheme or MAH. And I know I'm going to feel like $1 million again. Such an easy procedure, very cost effective, really something for any of you to consider if you have any sort of autoimmune condition, chronic Lyme, even mast cell issues, any of these immune issues, long COVID, any of those. It seems to be incredibly helpful.